Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
It's 6:30. It's Wednesday, September 1st already. We're in the library at Bellows Falls Union High School, and welcome to a meeting of the Executive Committee. And this is a committee meeting, not a school board meeting. And your Executive Committee happens to be made up of the board chairs. We have administration here tonight, although I don't think we're going to need them for very long. And I'm going to make some adjustments to the agenda. And here are your adjustments. We are going to begin with communication and public comment because I realize we got a pretty good crowd here tonight, and I think it would be helpful for the board chairs. Mind you, this is not a board that you have before you, but rather a committee. It would be very helpful for the board chairs to hear any comments that people here in the room tonight would like to share with us. We are going to strike the new business item, which is a report on ESSER initiatives and timelines. That was item A. We are also going to strike item B, which is anticipated hiring under the grants. It is my very strong belief, and by the way, my name is David Clark. If anyone here doesn't recognize me with a mask on. And we are going to go straight to an executive session item called administrative resignations. Please bear in mind that when the superintendent of schools and the assistant superintendent of schools resign, they are resigning to the Wyndham Northeast Supervisory Union Board, which has not met yet to discuss their resignation. So the board chairs will exercise their privilege to discuss that situation in executive session, where premature public knowledge, although I don't think there's much premature public knowledge at this point, everybody in the room doesn't have, but nonetheless we will exercise our executive session rights to discuss the situation and what possible next steps might look like. When we're done with that, we're going to come out and we will take director's comments, and then we will adjourn. Okay? I'm going to start just by going around the table and asking people to introduce themselves. Lynn, why don't you start yourself off?
I'm Lynn Carey. I'm the assistant superintendent.
Chris Pratt, superintendent.
Andy House, director of student services.
Laura Fagan, business manager.
Hi, I'm Jack Breyer, and I am on both the high school board as a representative from Grafton, and I chair the Wyndham Northeast Unified Elementary School District. There we go.
I'm Jessa West Clark. I'm on the Grafton board and the SU board.
Molly Bannock, chair of the Bellows Falls Union High School Westminster resident.
David Clark. I represent Westminster on the Union High School board, and I am also chair of the Wyndham Northeast Supervisory Union board.
Cheryl Charles, chair of the Westminster School Board.
Priscilla Lambert. I'm chair of the Rockingham board. I'm on the Bellows Falls Union High School board, and I'm also clerk of the WNESU board.
Deborah Wright, I'm a director on the Bellows Falls Union High School Board, and I'm a member of the SU, WNESU.
Okay, we're going to segue right into communication and public comments. If there are people in the room who would like to make a comment or have something to communicate with us, I'm just going to ask if everyone to hold their hand up right now so I have a rough idea of how to allocate time that would be
David,
extremely helpful.
make us just as a technical suggestion. If folks want to be heard, you can speak from the back of the room if you want. But if you want the camera to hear you in the best possible way, I recommend you coming up here, standing right here and making your public comment.
Can we set up a podium right here?
Right here would be perfect.
Is that good for people?
Sure.
Okay.
Mr. Clark, is this on Bell Fact TV? Can someone get on there to watch it if they can't get on a Zoom?
We are streaming it. We're streaming it.
It's live?
Yeah.
Did that answer wherever it needed to know that?
It is warranted as a Zoom meeting, a hybrid Zoom meeting. So I'm not sure if you're in violation of the open meeting law.
Yeah.
That was a miscommunication between myself as WNESU chair and an administrative assistant in the supervisory union office. And I take responsibility for that because it had not been my intent to warn it for Zoom, because at the time this meeting was warned, I didn't realize we were going to be having a much different discussion than the one that we're likely to have tonight. So I own it. Okay, so communication is public comment. I'm going to get back to my spot there, but somebody would like to start us off? Step up to the podium. Tell us who you are, please, and tell us what you'd like to talk about.
So this is the podium, correct?
Yeah.
All right. My name is Serena Hickey. I'm here as a Bellows Falls taxpayer, and I would humbly request that the board consider tearing up Mr. Pratt's resignation. I'm sorry, Mr. Pratt, I know that's what you want to do, but I feel that I'm looking out for our students, which ultimately we're all here to do. I think it's in their best interest to not have any more shakeups, and this is a big one. So let's not do it. Just tell them no, sorry, maybe next year. Thank you.
Jessica, we're under communication public comment, which is not board, so if it is germane.
It's a technical question. Where can people view the live stream from Fact TV?
It should be on our Facebook or YouTube, either our YouTube channel. I don't know which.
It's not on your Facebook?
So we go to Falls Area Community TV Government. And on YouTube.
On YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Ready.
Hi, I'm Olivia Clark. I am here tonight as a WNESU employee. I just would like to pose the question to all of you, since you're the chairs of the boards. Who do you serve? Who are you serving in your capacity? Because I hope that your answer is the students and the teachers and the staff and the administration. And the conversations about masking, the conversations about the safety in schools are out of this world. The fact that you're not supporting our administration, that it's come to a point where Superintendent Pratt, and I guess by David Clark's words, Dr. Carey is also resigning, that's what you said earlier. The fact that they are both resigning, I think, just shows the complete and utter disregard of the board for who you serve. Who are you here for? And if you're here for us, you're not doing it right. So please listen when we speak to you. We are not speaking out of turn for things that we do not understand. We are speaking for all of the students that we serve, for the administration that we work with, for the colleagues that we work with. And you are not speaking for us. You're not protecting us. And you're not listening. You haven't been for a year. You have not been listening, any of you. Because I've been here before. I'm sure many of you know who I am. And you're not listening. So I implore you to listen and to work with our administration, because you're obviously not. You're not. You can shake your head all you want, but you're not. That's all I have to say.
Next. Is it Sue? Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm Julie Torres. I teach Spanish here at the high school. I just have almost, this is kind of strange, but a quick story to share about Mr. Pratt, and kind of begging you to not leave, and hoping you will all consider using your power at be to consider ripping up Mr. Pratt's letter of resignation. I'm so sorry again, Mr. Pratt, like Serena said. But I just want to share this story and give you an example of why. So I remember the first year that Mr. Pratt was here. One day I was in my homeroom, and one of my students said, "I never knew who the superintendent of our school was in the past. I don't think I even know what they looked like." And because Mr. Pratt's presence at events was clearly important to our students and made an impression on our kids, it impacted me and made me immediately impressed, and it made an immediate impression on me about how I viewed and always will view Mr. Pratt as an administrator. First and foremost, he is here to meet the students' needs. Secondly, he's here to be supportive and present for the principals and other administrators to help meet their needs and keep the buildings running smoothly. I believe he does this without being overbearing, without micromanaging, and always keeping the students as his first priority. In my opinion, Mr. Pratt has done a phenomenal job, even during the most uncertain of times in education we have seen in all of history. He has weathered us through this with great ease and comfort. It saddens me to see Mr. Pratt's letter of resignation, and I hope you, as the board, have the ability to help change Mr. Pratt's mind, hopefully, about his decision to resign. Thank you.
I'm Susan Swan, and I'm entering my 32nd year here at the high school teaching math. And I first wanted to comment on the warning of the meeting being held with Zoom, but David has accepted responsibility for that and explained that. So, because I was concerned about the transparency of the boards having the meeting been warned as a hybrid meeting, but then finding no Zoom link. So I thank you for the explanation and for taking ownership of that. Second, I'm here in regards to the resignation of Chris Pratt and potentially Dr. Carey. I asked the boards to work, please, to work with Chris Pratt to find a common ground in which Chris will withdraw his resignation and remain at the WNESU. We are currently in unprecedented times. We have experienced many challenges these last few years. Chris has shown solid leadership through these challenges. Additionally, our schools have also experienced many changes in administration, faculty, and staff for this school year. Any consistency that we can maintain within our current administration is of critical importance moving forward. Without that consistency and institutional knowledge, forward progress will be significantly slowed. It is therefore in the best interest of the students if this district can find a way to work with Mr. Pratt and find a common ground so that he can remain as superintendent. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public that'd like to speak? Make it sound like an auctioneer, going once, going twice. Okay, I'm not hearing any voices. And once again, I apologize to anyone you may know who felt that they would be able to participate through the Zoom. As Susan Swan pointed out, my error. And not hearing any voices or seeing any indication of anyone else who wishes to speak, I'm going to ask Chris and Lynn. Okay, sorry, Molly, do you have a point of order?
Mr. Clark, I would like to know if this is the proper time to read some notes that were sent to me from the public, or do I have to wait until director's comments?
Well, I would consider those to be part and parcel of communication and public comment, Molly. And just, I want to make it clear to the room that it's my intent to offer both Chris and Lynn the last word before this board goes into executive session to discuss its options. And Jessa, what do you have?
I have a point of order type comment. Is there a technical reason we can't spin up a Zoom?
I have no idea. I'm a Luddite.
I have a paid Zoom account.
No, we got, they can send the link out now. You gotta ask him. I'm not man, I'm just a camera.
No, we're not blaming it on you. We're
Not
just
blaming
trying
you
to-
at all.
He can send out a link now if he wants.
I mean, if it's
Another technical issue, though, is that it appears that we're about done with the speakers. Therefore, setting it up and going into executive sessions would be pointless. That's, at the beginning would have been great.
Mr. Breyer.
Couple things.
Jack, this is germane to setting up a Zoom because we're under communication and public comment.
Yes, it is. The point of having a Zoom link is to offer the public a chance to comment. The meeting was warned as having one, and therefore, by not having one, I have no idea who might be out in the public who anticipated either being a witness to the meeting or offering a comment. Neither of these are available to them. I recognize things happen, but technically, at the least, we're sitting here in a meeting that was warned under certain circumstances and has now been conducted under different circumstances. I appreciate the responsibility you've taken, but the fact is that this meeting is debatably a legal meeting at this point, and I'm uncomfortable with that fact. We will proceed as we can, but the question about whether this meeting is legal or whether any decisions can be made or anything else about this gathering this evening is now, in my view, in question. I hope that you'll be contacting Jenny Prosser tomorrow at the Secretary of State's office, because we do need some guidance as to how we clean this up. When you have two resignations, it probably is of this consequence. The public has a right to know what happened and why. By losing that link to the public, a link that most people use in preference to in-person attendance, we're in a situation where the public has no ability to know or to participate in a timely manner to affect our subsequent decisions tonight. And I'm here out of courtesy, but also under protest.
Okay, thank you, Jack. The ruling from the chair is that anybody can call into question whether this meeting was conducted properly under the open meeting law. That's certainly the right of any interested individual to do so. Now, let me get it right around to the good news, and that is that we're going to have a complete redo of this meeting 1 week from tonight in the same room at the same time, and we will be sure that the Zoom link is up and running. So anyone who feels that they've been disenfranchised, I'm speaking to the home audience, or anybody who feels that their colleagues have been disenfranchised will get the opportunity to begin once again at the very beginning next Wednesday at 6:30 in this room when the Wyndham Northeast Supervisory Union Board holds a special meeting where we will formally consider these resignations. As I said before, this is only a committee of board chairs that has no authority to conduct the supervisory union's business, although they can certainly take it back to their local boards and discuss it and inform their reps to the supervisory union how they would advise those reps to proceed. Okay, anything else under communication public comment?
I don't think it's being streamed either on Fact TV.
It is being streamed.
It is. It's on their YouTube channel.
It's on the YouTube channel?
Yeah, I looked it up. It's there.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, we do, and I'm going to get back so we can read those letters. And as I said before, we will give Chris and Lynn the opportunity to have last word, and then the board will go into executive session. And I want to quickly add that the board will come out of executive session, and we will hear directors' comments. That's not an open discussion with people in the room, but it's certainly your opportunity to see if you can get a read on how the board has perceived the situation. I'm using the term board incorrectly because this is not a board. We are board chairs, but we are a committee of board chairs. Okay, so I want to correct that error because obviously I already got one I own tonight, so why not two? Okay, go ahead. Would you please, Molly?
Absolutely. You want me down there?
Yeah, the
I got a
best.
pretty good voice, but
For the best clarity, if you're the closest to the mic, you're good.
My understanding from talking to Mr. Broadley, it's okay if I share all this?
Yes.
So I spoke with Mr. Broadley today, and he was getting ready to meet with his staff. They're very concerned. I think most of us in this room have a lot of love for Mr. Pratt and find it to be very saddening to see that he is trying to depart, even though we're fighting him every minute of the way. I feel the same way. So I asked Mr. Broadley when he met with his staff if some of them that maybe didn't want to get up here and speak. I'm not very bashful, so I'll do it for you. And I appreciate the notes. So the first one I have is, I am sorry to hear this. I really feel like you have worked hard to better this district and that you have the best interest for the students, families, and staff in your mind every time you make a decision. It has been so nice having a superintendent with a sense of humor who is really interested in being in the buildings working with us. I wish you the best, and I hate to see you go.
Excuse me, Molly, the names that are attached to those comments, I would like to take them down for record.
That was proudly submitted by Holly Falzo. Most of these don't have a name. So the next one is Chris has been supportive of the students, families, and staff. He has had a presence in the buildings. He has worked to develop a long-term plan for the district. All of these are coming from someone from the high school staff, because I'm the chair of the high school board. That's why I have them. The next one, please do not accept Mr. Pratt's resignation. We are coming back from an extremely trying year and face daunting tasks of bridging the learning gap caused by it. To add such a systemic change to the 11th hour will have a detrimental trickle-down effect. Mr. Pratt has shown himself to be an educator that puts our children, our students first. I feel this is an attribute worth holding on to, don't you? Next one, I am asking the board to not accept the resignation of Superintendent Pratt. As a district, we are headed in the right direction under his leadership. He must be given the support of the board and allowed to do his job leading our district. Next one, as a classroom teacher, I appreciate the support and value leadership and the ideas of Superintendent Pratt. Please refuse his resignation, persuade him to stay and support his ideas and decisions with regards to the Windham Northeast Supervisory Union. Thank you. It is in the best interest of the students of this district for Chris Pratt to remain in his position. Without him following through as superintendent, the representation and evaluation of the caring educators in this community will be substantially reduced. As a result, the likelihood of the loss of committed and veteran educators from the district will substantially increase. Tim Clark, math teacher, Bellows Falls Union High School. I hope the resignation of Mr. Pratt does not come to fruition. Mr. Pratt was the first superintendent in quite a while who was very involved in our students' lives on a regular basis. I do not mean just a walk through the building now and then. I am referring to his consistent attendance at our sporting events long after working hours, his involvement in our school musical, which required coming to rehearsal, etc. The next one is from Julie Torres, but she has already spoken.
That was me just, yeah, sorry.
The board must reject the resignation letter of the superintendent. With everything that is going on in our school district, county, state, and nation, it is time for us to put aside our differences and personal agendas and to focus applying best practices to doing what is best for the health and well-being of our students, which includes supporting their professional in-school communities and networks. That's all I got. I would like to, am I out of term if I speak as a community member?
Well, the problem I have with that is that makes all board members community members. I'm going to strongly urge you to hold it for director's comments, which is the appropriate place on the agenda for board members. Yes, sir. You are recognized.
Thank you. My name is Mark Gebo, and I'm a school counselor.
Mark, spell your last name for me.
G-E-B-O.
Thank you.
And I'm a school counselor here at the high school. Mr. Pratt and Dr. Carey have worked very closely with the administration throughout our district to appropriately use the ESSER funds that we have been given. And I have grave concerns that without the potential of a superintendent and an assistant superintendent, that we will not have the appropriate people to help guide our administrators with the appropriate use of those funds to support our students and our families and our community. Thank you.
We are under communication and public comment. You can hold it until we get to director's comments.
This is a person who wrote it into, that hasn't been read, and I'm just trying to do that.
All right. I apologize to you for my sharp retort. Go ahead, Jack.
Where are we supposed to stand here? Thank you. Actually, I got several, but this is the most printable, so we'll start with that. Dear WNESU board members, I am writing to voice my support for Chris Pratt and his role as superintendent. The news of his resignation is of great concern to me as a member of the Bellows Falls community. More than anything right now, this community needs stability and strong leadership. I have complete confidence in Chris Pratt, and I hope the school board will do everything in its power to support all members of the WNESU so they can do their jobs effectively. I implore you to take the necessary steps required to keep Chris Pratt on as superintendent. This is by Sarah Kovac. Sarah Kovac. That's Sarah with an H, Kovac with a CH.
K-O-V-A-C-H, Jack?
That's what I've got here, and I will beg the indulgence of some of the other people that wrote because, candidly, they got into personalities, and I'm not doing that. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Chris, is there anything you'd like to say?
I'll do my best, but I lost my voice.
Hey, Chris, if you do us the favors, if you use the podium, because you'll pick up better on Fat TV that way.
I'll do my best. I've lost my voice, so I just want to thank you all for coming out tonight. You guys had a long day, and we have a lot of work to do. But I'm just going to say that I need to resign for personal reasons and do what's best for myself and my family at this point. I know the timing is bad. That's not my intention to leave everybody hanging, but I'm just going to leave it at personal reasons and do what's best for my kids and my family. So I just appreciate all of you coming out tonight. Thank you.
Lynn, any comments you'd like to share with us? If there are, it'd be big help if you would take the podium there so Fact TV can pick it up. Or is Lynn close enough for you?
Thank you for your support of Chris. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Okay. I'd like a motion from a member of the executive committee to go into executive session to discuss administrative transition, bearing in mind that premature public knowledge could disadvantage the board in its disadvantage the committee in its attempt to give guidance to the board in its eventual deliberations. Okay, I have a motion, please.
We need an executive committee member, so that has to be one of the chairs.
Thank you. I have a motion to go into executive session. I'm going to poll the board. How do you vote, Jack?
No.
Do I have a no? Molly Bannock?
No.
Okay. Cheryl Charles?
No.
Priscilla Lambert?
Which doesn't matter. I don't know.
Okay. In that case, we're going to move directly to director's comments. Go ahead,
Mr.
Jack.
Chair, point of order. The chair can make changes to the agenda under Robert's rules with the agreement of the board. Now, this is normally a formality because normally these are minor administrative changes and for everybody's mutual convenience. However, the question here is we've changed the agenda completely. We have not done so with the agreement of the board. They were not told. We're now having an executive meeting on a subject where it's not clear to at least me what portion of this is properly executive material. The fact that our administrators have left is a matter of clear public interest to all. Now, I believe that we do want to respect our administrators' wishes in this regard, and if it is at their request that this conversation happen in executive committee, I will be absolutely happy to sign on to do so. But at present, the concern I have is that the circumstances that involve these resignations may in fact be due to activity on the board's part, and I need to know that, and the community needs to know that. And I think that stuff would be appropriately discussed in public. And so the question I have, respectfully, is I want to know first whether the affected parties wish to have this in executive session, knowing that if they would like us to stop at any point and go into executive session, we absolutely can do so. But I think that this is sufficiently of import that we all need to know what's going on. And I think that is properly the public's business. Now, I'm saying this with some reluctance because it gets uncomfortable, but I believe that's the reason why you had so many no's. We need to know what has happened here.
Well, Jack, the chair's ruling is that you had the opportunity to make your objection when we adjusted the agenda. I did not hear it at that time. We have gone through the, hold on a minute, Jack.
I appeal to the board.
You are out of order, Mr. Breyer.
No, I'm not, and you can't stop me.
I am going to stop you, Jack.
To the board, and I'm doing that right now. You are not the chair of this committee until you are appointed as it, and I would like you to sit down and have, this is a privileged motion, and there's no appealing it. I can appeal to the board to sustain my objection, and I'm doing that right this moment.
All right, now, we're going to do this properly, Jack.
Yes, we
You
are.
are overruled, Mr. Breyer. However, because you seem to have a concern here, I will poll the board and see if they wish to overrule the chair. That is what we do under these circumstances,
Fine.
and I do not appreciate your interrupting me while I was attempting to discharge my responsibilities as chair of this committee.
You're not chair of this
Okay, I am the chair of this committee. Okay, Priscilla Lambert, do you wish to sustain Jack Breyer's objection?
I don't know what I'm sustaining if I do.
Jack Breyer wants to obviate director's comments and go into a discussion of the resignations. It is the chair's ruling that having not gone into executive session, that members of the board are I keep using that term board, apologies. Members of this committee are entirely within their rights to bring up any topic whatsoever that they wish to do under their comments. But I will caution this committee, this is not debate. This is an opportunity to speak your piece. So, and that's the option you were given to begin with, Jack, which is to speak your piece under director's comments. You're looking for an overrule of the chair's ruling, but it's unclear as to what exactly an overrule of director's comments actually amounts to.
Well, let the person who has made the objection be clear. What has happened here is, the original discussion has been, the original agenda has been obviated by the board, by the chair, without anyone's without permission. 2, the discussion item that you have substituted, you have declared unilaterally is a matter of executive session. I agree that some parts of it may be, but I do not agree, and the board has not yet agreed with you, sir, that the entirety of this discussion should be an executive session. I would like to appeal, I'm appealing to the board that we have not agreed that we are in executive session. You've just seen that happen. And therefore, the item on the agenda can continue, just not in executive session. And I'm saying that your ruling to the contrary is without the approval of your board, and therefore we need to have this discussion publicly, at least until the board feels it's time to withdraw for an executive session.
Your position is mistaken, Mr. Breyer. We moved out of communication and public comment where every member in the room was given the opportunity to address this committee.
I'm talking about
it's what we're talking about here, Jack. We then took a motion to go into executive session, which was defeated. There is no executive session. We are now down to directors' comments, and the directors have the opportunity to make any comment whatsoever they wish to make at any reasonable length. And I'm going to point out 2 things. Number 1, directors' comments is not debate. And secondly, we do not overrule directors' comments. The discussion was finished under communication and public comments. The motion to go into executive session was defeated. We are under directors' comments, Mr. Breyer.
You have not. I have appealed to this board. This board has the right to decide whether or not we are not going to discuss the resignation. They have not said that to you. They have the right to determine that. You do not. Respectfully, David, you and I have been friends for the better part of 20 years. Notwithstanding that, this is not appropriate. You're railroading this discussion. You're cutting out any public discussion because you don't want to have it. And I would like to at least have some idea as to the circumstances that led up to this, because it is not at all clear to me. I understand that we have a health resignation, but we have a second resignation. And I need to know what's been going on, because something has been going on. People do not resign just willy-nilly. That doesn't happen.
We do not discuss personnel in open session, Jack, to protect both the board and the personnel who are being discussed.
Wait, now,
what part of that don't you understand?
This board has not determined that this is going to disadvantage them. They, in effect, voted that down. So until such time, we have an agenda item. The item that you unilaterally moved to executive session has not been agreed to by this board. Therefore, if you read your Robert's rules, and I'm one of the few people that do, that means the item is in public session. And that is what I propose that we do right now. And that's why I'm asking a sustaining vote of my members.
Jack, can I interject, please? David,
go ahead,
I have a question just to clarify in my mind, please. You were doing director's comments and then you were going to do a discussion of the administrative resignation, because I thought what you just said to us, and if I'm wrong, was that we were going to discuss it and that we would move to executive session if Mr. Pratt or Dr. Carey wanted us to. However, they've left. But my understanding was we were going to discuss it. Were you you trying to do director's comments first and then the discussion? Or am I wrong?
Priscilla, as I just explained to Jack Breyer, personnel matters are in executive session to discuss both the board and personnel involved. There was a motion to go into executive session which was defeated. If board members would like to express their concerns, make comment about these resignations, they are welcome to do so. But I am not going to enter into a discussion about these personnel matters in open session because I think it's very, very improper under the law. So Jack has asked you whether you wish to sustain my ruling or whether you wish...
Can I comment that?
Absolutely.
Okay. My concern at this point would be that if we did a discussion in open session and Mr. Pratt or Dr. Carey wanted us to not be discussing that item, that we would be out of order. Jack, can I talk to Jack? Is that okay?
Oh, talk to Jack through the chair.
Okay, through the chair. Because I want to protect their rights as well. As a board member, I don't think I have the same rights. I don't think I have the right to protect whatever I've done in a board meeting or anything that can be taken into executive session. I think we learned that with an issue that took place last spring. And we were told that as a board member, whatever we've done needs to be discussed in open session. So, but my concern would be for Mr. Pratt and Dr. Carey at this point. I really don't want to violate their rights.
Okay, Priscilla, so are you sustaining Jack Breyer's objection, or are you...
Would Jack please repeat his objection so it's clear?
My objection is that I do not believe we can just simply pass over the item without the board agreeing to it. And most importantly, a motion to go in executive committee has to be approved by the members.
And it was not.
It was not. That does not mean that the item cannot be discussed. It simply means that the executive, that we're not withdrawing into an executive session, that the public has the right to know. I am deeply sensitive to the fact that our administration has left the room, and that makes it I'm now quite uncomfortable with that. My concern is that there are at least allegations out and about that there are precipitating factors that led to this. And some of those precipitating factors may involve the board or individual board members. I get emails on this, and I've not read them tonight because I don't know that they're factual. But I do believe that we need to know that there was a problem here, because that's something where board level and individual board member accountability is important. That's why I'm asking to sustain this so we can have a discussion. Was there something going on? Was there improper behavior going on at the SU that was at least in part a precipitant factor? Was there a toxic work environment that board members helped precipitate? That's important. I don't know. I'm not hoping the stuff I've got is wrong, but I don't know that. And this is our accountability. It's an issue that we have done individually or collectively. We need to know that. And the people who elected us and the people who work under us need to know that. So that's why I'm saying I would like to hold as much of this as we can properly do in open session.
Priscilla, do you wish to sustain Mr. Breyer's objection?
You said we're meeting again next.
We're going to have a complete redo on the 10th, right from the beginning.
I would assume that.
Probably on the 8th.
Yeah.
I don't know, Dad. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't
All
know.
right. With all due respect, Cheryl, you are strictly speaking ex officio under the rules of this meeting, so I cannot entertain a vote from you, just as I cannot entertain a vote from either Deb or Jessa. Molly Bannock, what's your desire?
I'm trying really hard to not let my farmer tongue come out right now, David. I don't appreciate how you stand up and raise your voice when you don't like what somebody's saying, so I'm trying to get past that first. As I listen to this, it sounds to me like we're not going to get anywhere tonight by trying to discuss this, because it's not going to be allowed to find out what really happened. So even though, Jack, I totally get what you're trying to do, I think it's time to go to director's comments.
All right, fair enough. I withdraw my objection.
Jack, we're under director's comments. You want to lead us off?
No, I'll let somebody else speak first.
Jessa West Clark, I'm going to ask you to have a comment, even though you're ex officio like Cheryl is tonight.
I do have some comments. First of all, the decision to not hold this meeting on Zoom, I believe, is in direct violation of the open meeting law, and it would have been easily remedied by any multitude of people in the room at the beginning. The fact that that was not allowed or encouraged is disturbing. And I believe that direction came from the chair. If you would like to correct me if I'm wrong. And there's a multitude of disturbing things going on here, and I hope the next meeting is properly warned with ample time to discuss them. There's plenty of exceptions. All personnel matters do not have to be discussed in executive session if the person you're discussing requests it to be done in public. That is all.
Molly.
So, first I'd like to do is just approach the crowd. I so much appreciate this. I thought I was going to come in here to a meeting with 4 people and maybe a little bit of administration, and this is not a happy evening, and seeing all the support made it a little bit better. So, I don't like what's going on. I think there's a lot of stuff maybe going on behind closed doors, and that's why we have come to this. And that's very bothersome to me. I take my job as a school board member, school board chair, very seriously. I don't know all there is to know about education. You know, I sell houses, but I really enjoyed my time in learning what happens, and being a part of this high school has been very important to me. I don't have an agenda. I never did. I put a young lady through this school, and it was a very awesome experience for everyone. I am going to repeat myself probably, but I'm very saddened. I got to know Chris. I think that, you know, none of us are perfect, but Chris's heart was right where it needed to be a great administrator. And it shows by the people that are in this room right now. So I don't think there's any saving him, even though I wish there was. I've had some conversations with him. I think we've become friends, and I could see this coming. I think as a board member, we all need to be very, very careful about not becoming or not thinking that our job is more powerful than it really is. We're volunteers, really. We get a little check at the end of the year, but it's not. We're volunteers. Our job as board members, people have a lot different ideas of what a board member is responsible for than what I have. You know, when I first got on the boards 13 years ago, I was told that we were fiscally responsible and that we were in charge of policies. And the word policy always, I don't like that word, so I almost try to kind of forget about that one, but I know it's important to have them to protect everyone. I was very pleased to see the smooth transition with the principal here, to be able to move on to someone who had some tenure and was, you know, going to do a great job as your leader. And I don't want us to become bullies. And there's been times this year where I've been very ashamed to be part of this group. And I've been very careful not to word that, because that makes me feel like I'm a part of that. And if I feel that way, why do I stay in it? But I'm not a quitter either. So what do? I come here and I try to put a good face on and do the best I can. I'm not going to claim to know everything. Probably Mr. Broadley thinks he calls me too much, but I really appreciate the calls, because every time he talks to me, I learn something different. And you know, there's a lot to learn. None of us know what we need to know to, you know, Mr. Broadley runs the school, not me. I don't want to run the school. Chris Pratt runs the administration office. David doesn't run the administration office. Grafton's the same way. So I know I'm rambling on a little bit, and I got a lot in my head, and I've had a problem with this all day because I'm struggling with this. I think that if we're the executive board, the four of us, we're the executive board, we should be ashamed of ourselves that we let this happen. That we took a man that I was part of that hiring committee. We interviewed people, we had 4 or 5 people, we took 2, I took one of them all around all the schools. It was fun. So 3 years, and he's given up. So I appreciate and I respect what Chris has said, because he just doesn't want to be kicked around the room anymore. So he's going to tell us that it's health, and that's going to be good for him in his future careers by not getting him muddy. But I just really hope that we all really think about what has gone on in this room, and not just tonight. There's been several nights that, you know, we hire people, we pay them really good money, and we need to let them do their job. And probably all need to do that, so I'd shut up, because I'm going to start rambling. Because my emotions are about this high right now. I'm proud to be part of this system, but I'm not really proud sometimes. And yeah, this is a tough one for me to swallow. You know, I got a full-time job and a full schedule outside of being a school board member. And I'm standing here and wondering sometimes why I'm even here. But I'm doing it because I believe in my community, and I love kids, and I believe in all of you guys, and I'm embarrassed right now. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Molly. Listen very carefully to what Molly had to say. I got a couple of things to say. Number one, my theory of management is, if you will pardon the euphemism, barnyard compost flows uphill, and that's why I own the responsibility for the snafu on Zoom. Blame me, okay? Secondly, I do want to directly address people's very strong feelings about Chris Pratt. When we hired Chris Pratt, I was strongly of the belief that he was the right guy at the right time, and I most especially admired Chris's ed vision. And I'm going to tell you something right now, I still admire Chris's ed vision. Chris and I haven't always agreed on everything, but when we've disagreed, I have reinforced one important point to him, and it's this. I have always said to him, Chris, I have your back. And if ever a time comes when I don't have your back, you're going to hear it from me first. And I reaffirmed that to Chris, Lynn was in the room as well, Monday morning at 10 o'clock after I was aware of his resignation. And I want you to hear very clearly that until September 27, which I believe is his final day of work, I will continue to have Chris back, okay? I feel pretty much the same way most people in this room feel about seeing him leave. I'm sorry for it, because I think that he really was the right guy with the right head vision at the right time. However, I strongly believe that we're going to have to move on, and that we're going to have to regroup and do the best we can to support one another, which is a point I made in this room last Wednesday night, and that's basically what I have to say. I'm sorry that we're having the discussion or not having the discussion that we're having tonight, and I want to just reiterate one more thing. Supervisory Union Board will be acting on the resignation of Chris Pratt and Lynn Carey, and it's meeting 1 week from tonight on Wednesday. Help me out here. It's September 8th, right? On September 8th. And I would encourage anyone who has a strong interest in it to either attend here in person or on the Zoom. And I will do my utmost to make sure that the Zoom is fully functional. Thank you for hearing me out. And Cheryl, you're next.
Well, this is extremely difficult. I think I'll stand too, just so I can see you all a little bit better. Thank you, Molly, for all of your comments. Mr. Clark has said that I'm ex officio, and I am. I'm going to try to calm down here a little bit. Sorry. As many of you, if not all of you, know, the townspeople of Westminster, with the support of our friends and voters in Athens and Grafton, have worked hard for a few years now to have Westminster be fully reinstated as a school board. We've gone through hoop after hoop. Most recently was yesterday's election, where 101 people voted to accept the terms of our financial settlement with Athens and Grafton, and 6 people said no. And so we're well on our way with that agreement. Athens and Grafton voted similarly, but the point would be that even though I've been elected chair of this board, our board doesn't have full authority until July 1, 2022. And that's why I sit here as a chair, but without the vote, okay? Just so you understand that. Olivia, I'd like to know more about your comments when you generalize that all the board isn't caring about students and faculty and others. Please know that I believe all of us are, and it may not sound like it, and I certainly hope I'm not one who sounds like I don't have the children and the teachers and our paraprofessionals and others in mind all the time. I walked in tonight absolutely amazed. I had no advance information that Mr. Pratt had resigned. None. It would seem to me that I've been told, at least walking in, that that's public record, actually. So Mr. Pratt's letter to staff that was received today could have been read to us, those of us who had not yet heard that officially. May I just say that could have been in public discussion here. I will do everything I can, and I believe all of the board members will, to understand what happened. I do know that there have been tensions and disagreements for many, many months now. I'm also one who knows that Mr. Pratt cares about the kids, is in the schools, respects all of you, and I believe his strengths are immense. So this is a situation I want to learn more about. I want to do everything I can to support these 2 fine professionals who have served us and our community well for the last several years. And I would love to see a resolution that has them not resign. But we shall see what comes from this process. At any rate, we'll do our best to gather the information. And as Mr. Clark has said, next Wednesday's meeting, I hope you'll come back. And in the meantime, give us more information. Give us whatever you can to help us make informed decisions about all of this. So thank you. Thank you all for being here.
Priscilla?
Stand up too, I guess. Like Cheryl, I was pretty shocked. I had kind of a little, somebody, scuttlebutt out there about an hour before the meeting. But I have not seen anything. I have not seen an email, and I have not, possibly that's my fault because I was doing a tour of the central school for an hour. I went home quickly in between, got a quick snack, and just came back, and I didn't look at anything, so maybe that's my fault. I know this year that this is my first executive board meeting. I have only been chair for a month, and so I have not been to a meeting of the chairs until this time. I really don't feel that the chairs have a lot of authority on our own, or even in an executive committee. We have to bring it back to our boards. We cannot make a decision, I don't believe, of any kind, because it is up to your regular boards to do that. So therefore, I was kind of interested to see how it was going to work tonight and do that kind of thing, which I'm not finding out too well, I guess, except that we're having a big discussion this way. I know there's been some discussion on, somebody referred to masking, but I think if you look at the masking that was passed by each of the boards, they really are not very different. If you look at the memo from Dan French that came out, it has every bit of what any of the boards put in there. The one thing that Rockingham did was that said that with instructional or operational purposes, the mask could be taken off when seated. Well, Dan French says that he didn't even say when seated. His thing that was sent out to the superintendents and then to us said at any time. Basically, that's up to the teachers to do that. And I know when I've done my tours, I've talked about the fact that hopefully teachers would be able to give mask breaks to their students and those kinds of things. And that's one thing that allows. It doesn't take away your rights for those first 10 days to do any of the masking. I think the high school board and the Rockingham board both are looking at it again at that time, which if the governor is right and the statistics they put out yesterday at his press conference are correct, we've reached a level. It's leveling off, and he's looking at hopefully going down. Now that may not happen because other parts of the country it's not, and we'll just have to look at it. I think it's something we have to look at right along. But we know that you as teachers and the community want those kids to be safe, and that's what we want as well. I joined committees this year specifically because I felt like I wanted to get to know my administrators a little better. And I felt that that was the way that I could do that, because if I was just doing my board meetings, I wasn't necessarily getting to see them in action and doing those things. So that was my goal in doing that. The best one that I've been on is the recovery team with Cheryl and with some of the community members, some of the teachers, some of our administrators, and to just look at how we're going to recover from this year that we've had, this horrible year that we've had to go through. When I ran for the board, I thought, oh, simple, easy, no problem, nothing. And then all of this hit and everything went sky high. We listened to parents that want this side and parents that want that side, and then the ones in the middle. And there's no way, as you've seen in the news the last few days with different boards, different places, and the parents being upset, there's no way that everybody's going to be totally happy. And I think that's one thing that our administration, Mr. Pratt and Dr. Carey, have had to deal with tremendously, and it's put a lot of pressure on them, as well as you as staff and teachers and community members, because everybody wants what's best for the children, but we're all guessing. We just need to hear from you. That's one reason our board did a questionnaire last week, so that we could at least hear what parents wanted and what they are doing. And that's what we're going to be discussing at our board meeting, our special board meeting tomorrow night. And hopefully just looking at what people are saying, so that when we get to our meeting 2 weeks from now, or 3 weeks from now, about almost 2.5, on the 20th, we'll have a better informed idea of what you want so that we can kind of go ahead. That's why we did the tours of the buildings, some of us from our board, and we're looking at your responses because we really want to hear from you and we really want to do what's best. And I have no background to know everything that's been going on or everything that's been doing. If I've had a part in it, I would certainly hope that administration could sit down and talk to me about it, and that we could, look at ways that we could, because I've only run one board meeting so far, but I thought it was a pretty good board meeting. I thought we got along pretty well, and we got at least a masking rule of one kind, or at least maybe not as much as some people wanted, maybe more than some people wanted, but at least we got one, which was a feat for my board, because I, to be honest, was going into the board meeting thinking, how in the world will I get any? And we managed to get one. So come to our meetings, express yourselves so that we know what you want. That's part of the problem too, is the communication, I think. And I think it needs to be better communication. Maybe better communication from us as board members, and maybe better communication from our administration and our teachers and our staff and our community. All of us should join in that, and hopefully we can work together and come up with a solution. Thanks.
Jack, you ready?
Yeah, thanks. I forget who it was that said that we were all responsible for what's happening. You want to raise your hand? Maybe you all feel that way.
You just let me have been Olivia, and she just left.
Well, you're right. It is. It is our. It is. We are responsible. And I'm going to take part of it because I've been hearing scuttlebutt from a number of you who thought maybe I'd do something about it, or somehow, and I didn't. And I kind of thought this would blow over, and these are all my friends, and many of these board people have been friends of mine longer than anybody else I've ever known. It makes it hard. You kind of temporize. You say, it'll work out. You'll figure it out. You talk, we'll find a way to make it work. And that didn't work, did it? Didn't work at all. And to the extent that there's accountability, I'm taking my piece of it, and not happily, but taking it, because you told me this was an issue, and I had a responsibility. Might not have been effective, might have gone just about as well as I did with the masking business a few days ago, but I had a responsibility to bring it up. And bringing it up tonight and being mad about it is not fair to anybody, because as I owned that issue months ago when it first became apparent, and I'm heartsick over this. And in the last 2 weeks or so, really called into question whether I'm doing anybody a favor being on this board or on any board, because there are things that we've done that were preventable, and I was apparently ineffective in persuading people, and ineffective in making the changes that needed to be made, ineffective in terms of stopping what I think is a tragedy here. We're losing two very good people. Perfect? Not a chance. Organizational skills, not so good. Almost as bad as my own. And that's not a compliment to any of us. But in terms of raw leadership, walked us through a period where you weren't getting paid. That was a problem. Walked through a period where half the building's leadership sort of stopped paying attention, and we made massive changes. You complained that administration wasn't listening to you, wasn't coming and backing you up, and I think maybe some of you disagree, but I don't think anybody since Johanna Hartster has had your interest in heart the way Chris has had in his heart. And yet we didn't stop this from happening. I get a lot of thinking to do about what I do going forward. I keep thinking, on one hand, that maybe I'm the guy with the finger in the dike of, and on the other hand, I'm thinking if that's all I'm doing, that's not a whole lot. And because what you need to do is to act and fix things. One person can't do that, and clearly as I say, being mad as Flora said, is not a solution to anything, and I've had the same thing told to me by Priscilla more than once, and she's right. And yet here we are, and it's not the first time. And the thing that makes it suck is not just that we're losing two fundamentally decent people, but we have ESSER funds. We have more money right now at our fingertips to fix this building, to fix the other buildings, to jumpstart our facilities and our educational process.
A new parking lot.
A new parking lot. And
Air conditioning.
Air conditioning. And and a lot of that stuff is due shortly. And now we're going to be losing people right in the middle of that process. And it's gutting me because I'm now terrified that we're going to lose that money. And that's going to mean the facilities won't be fixed, or taxpayers are going to pick up tabs that they should not have to, because they're paying the tab in federal taxes to not get anything locally. Because of this, that's a concern I have. So, well, that's really what I have to say. I'm sorry that this happened. I'm sorry. Please continue to call me or yell at me or send me an email, as you've done over the better part of 20 years. I'll try to do better, and kind of help me work through where this goes for me personally over the next couple of months, because I've really got to figure out if this is a thing that I should be doing, if I can't do it better for you.
Deb, it looks like you got the last word tonight.
I didn't expect to have any word. I didn't know what to expect coming here. I was asked to attend, as you did, and so I had no idea. I was shocked to see the outcome here, and I thought that what I saw at board meetings, tussling back and forth between members, was something that could be worked out in a better way, and that there would have been a better outcome, and this would not be the result of 2 empty seats. However, I don't know what happens in between meetings. I don't know who's pushing, pulling, discussing, arguing. I have no idea of any of that. I have, as others do, I have a business to run, and I have a lot of other boards that I'm on. This is not what I expected to happen. Coming into the new school year and realizing that our superintendent and our assistant superintendent were exiting the building. So it's I am happy that there'll be another meeting on the 8th. Again, I don't know if the outcome can be changed, if there is any changing at this point. But again, I still don't understand a lot of why. So if anything could be done, if surgery is needed, that'll be for the boards to discuss. I'm not the chair of any board. I was just asked to attend as a member and listen. So thank you.
Okay, we have worked through our somewhat disputed agenda. I would like to entertain a motion from one of the chairs to adjourn. Does anyone have that motion? Jack has the motion. If you are in favor, I'm going to urge you to stand up like I am. Once again, thank you all for being here tonight. Look forward to seeing you in the same room a week from now.